It feels like this Sunday, this is the moment. This is what we've been waiting for. This is the opportunity to finally secure a statement win under this new ownership. This season, there's a sense of renewed hope that we're all feeling right now as a fan base. There's more optimism. We aren't seeing classical signs of failure. No injuries. We're seeing players in decent form. There's less cynicism around the club right now. And at the moment, to really believe all this new hope and this new energy, I feel like a statement win is on the menu. It's on the cards. It's what we are all desperate for right now. Is there no better time to now be playing against this Arsenal team? This season, Arsenal feel a lot more fallible. I'm sure it doesn't help when they're losing key players out to injury like Odegaard, Calafiori and others. But on top of that, their fan base is putting their team under pressure. The Arsenal players can sense that. They can feel that. Throughout these last few seasons now, the Arsenal fans want to see them convert all this promise and competition into success this season. But recently, Arsenal's form has been a little bit patchy, and this culminated in their recent 1-0 loss against Inter Milan's B team, with Arsenal being forced to play cross after cross, looking quite predictable at times in terms of knowing how to break down Inter Milan. Arsenal, on the other hand, we are far from predictable right now. You can't fully quantify Maresca's ideas just yet, and for those reasons, I feel like we have a slight tactical edge because opposition managers don't necessarily know what to expect from us right now. Naturally, there's going to be massive pressure on Maresca to get things right on Sunday, because not going to lie, we've been seeing it in recent seasons. Arsenal have been turning us into a bit of a joke right now. In 9 encounters, we've only won twice, and those last wins came courtesy of Thomas Tuchel in the league and in the cup game. Outside of that though, recently we are getting peppered, we are getting battered, we are losing in pretty terrible fashion to Arsenal, and this all culminated in last season's, disgraceful 5-0 away defeat against Arsenal, where Kai Havertz came back to haunt us by scoring 2 goals. Hell, the last time we've even won a home game against Arsenal came in 2018, courtesy of Marcos Alonso's late winner in the 81st minute to make it 3-2. Currently, our recent form against Arsenal, my lord, it's reminding me of those dark days under Ranieri and prior, where no matter how valiant our efforts were, no matter how much energy and hope we had in those games, it just felt like Arsenal at the time knew exactly that they would have the moments to capitalize over us and get a guaranteed win. And it really felt like back in those dark days that we were like the equivalent of Spurs to Arsenal. That's why personally one of the best moments as a fan growing up was when we were finally able to turn around that disgusting form against Arsenal. That kick started due to that famous goal from Wayne Bridge at Highbury in the Champions League, and then Mourinho came, and in came real winners like Drogba and Cole, but Didier Drogba literally single-handedly creating and causing fear in Arsenal hearts. Arsenal fans are still remembering those times that Drogba treated their club like absolutely nothing. Since players like him left, since players like Hazard left, it does feel like that fear factor has also left as well. And currently, Arsenal have been the more dominant team against us. Maresca revealed in his press conference today that he was actually quite worried about the game against Noah last night for some reason, because his main concerns were a drop in mentality, with players not being ready when they have to be. So last night, I'm sure he was a very happy man, because the squad proved to Maresca that the mentality is not dropping. Because my friends, we need this mentality, we need this ruthlessness and this energy this Sunday at 4:30 p.m. against Arsenal at home. It feels like the rules have now been reset under Maresca this season, and the players feel like they can beat anyone. That is being communicated left, right and center. So it is finally time for us to claim our first big body under this ownership, and it's time that we beat Arsenal this Sunday. So my friends, you know what to do already. Hit that like button. Only hit that like button if you feel like we will get the W on Sunday. Share your thoughts and opinions. Hope you enjoy the video, and let's get straight into things. Let's tackle the press conference right now, because later on I want to spend more time with the predicted lineups, because I feel like there's a few ideas and preparations that Maresca may have, especially for Arsenal this Sunday. So, unpacking the press conference, of course, the big question on all our minds, the fitness surrounding Cole Palmer. Obviously, after sustaining that last-minute nasty tackle for Martinez, Cole Palmer, even though he's walking and about, isn't necessarily fit. Maresca revealed that there's going to be a session on Saturday tomorrow, and hopefully Cole Palmer is taking part. As you guys are seeing on screen, it seems like he's doing some compression therapy or some type of recovery therapy at this point in time to come back on Sunday, because normally when Cole Palmer is on form, he makes this whole team click and come to life, and we're going to need him. But to continue on, a lot of this press conference did focus on the game, which was pretty interesting. Obviously, Maresca remained quite coy in terms of his strategies and ideas for Sunday, but he had some interesting things to say around Arsenal and Arteta in terms of our plans of attack and defense. So is that telling us that there may be a few surprises in store for Arteta and Arsenal at home? Let's see what's going to happen. But on top of that, he feels like currently this team is not afraid to play against anyone. Not afraid against anyone is something that's been communicated quite a lot, not only from the management, but from a lot of these players as well too. That is very reassuring. They're the type of things that I want to hear. Still, Maresca accepts and acknowledges the challenge we have in store. Obviously, we play games against City, Liverpool, losing both to them, and then drawing against Manchester United. Our big game record hasn't been great this season whatsoever. We have our 4th attempt right now, and we can't let this one go to waste. Maresca revealed that he's liked the application and the performances we've seen, but in my personal opinion, I still feel like we haven't necessarily excelled in either of those games. We've competed, we've kept up with the pace, but we haven't excelled and shown our full potential. And I think this was highlighted even more in that recent draw against Manchester United, where a lot of us were very disappointed, expecting a lot more of a finesse performance that showed a lot more of our real ability. So right now, I'm going to end things with the press conference. To be fair, it wasn't the most interesting press conference. I have to move on, so let's now discuss the predicted lineups for Sunday. Now, currently, both teams are swaying over the fitness for key players like Cole Palmer and Declan Rice, naturally due to the significance and importance of Cole Palmer. For today's video, I have to discuss potential lineups with him involved and lineups without Cole Palmer involved, so I hope you guys enjoy this segment. Now, for lineup A, it's essentially continuing what we have been seeing with recent lineups in the league. You guys know how it goes. Nico up front, Neto on the left, Palmer in the middle, Madueke right inside, Lavia, Caicedo pivot, and in defense, of course, Reece James on the left, Cole, Fofana, Gusto, and Sanchez in goal. Now, my reasoning for why we could see this lineup potentially simply comes down to the fact that Maresca feels like there is something here with the setup, but it just requires more patience, more understanding from the players. Obviously, players like Gusto and Reece James, they have had their injuries this season. They haven't necessarily got the consistent minutes that could have actually accelerated their understanding of what Maresca wants. I've seen the tactical benefits behind using Gusto in this advanced position when he inverts midfield. I've seen the benefits we can have from opening up passing angles out from the back when Reece James plays on that left-hand side, but there are still question marks around the execution and quality of seeing inverted options playing closer to our striker. We haven't seen the benefits, and against Manchester United, we saw a lot of breakdown between both Madueke and Malo Gusto, which is interesting because both players have profited from having Cole Palmer in that exact same position. So the moment that they had to do it together, is it any surprise that a lot of our plays would break down, or we wouldn't execute moments we created down that right-hand side? But still, Maresca may feel like, listen, I need to keep a strong core with my pivot, and that is more important compared to what we do offensively, where I'd rather create great moments instead of creating a high volume of moments instead, especially against an opposition like Arsenal. Obviously, this would mean Palmer on the left-hand side, where he's been quite interesting playing down that side, and I think Neto has definitely benefited from Cole Palmer's influence in those areas. So there's not much to say on this lineup that we've seen already, but there are some of my ideas behind why we could potentially see lineup A. Now, to move on to lineup B, a lineup I think we could potentially see. I'm going for some differences in this setup, in this system. As you guys have seen, it starts off with Nico up front. In behind him would have Neto on the left-hand side. It would have Palmer on the right-hand side. It would have a midfield three of Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo, and defense would consist of Reece James on the left, Cole Fofana, and Malo Gusto on the right-hand side with Sanchez in goal. Now, the reason why I've gone for this lineup is because of how I see us when it comes to our build-up play and our offensive strategy, because this initial lineup would then transition into Nico up front, a front four of Neto, Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, and Gusto then hugging the right wing spot. Behind him, Caicedo, Lavia, and a back three of James, Fofana, Levi Colwill, and Sanchez in goal. And one of the reasons I'm thinking this is that Maresca changed things in the second half against Manchester United by taking off Gusto. He tried to recreate that with Cucurella. It was quite indifferent. And after seeing Enzo Fernandez play a very easy first half against Noah yesterday, he came off immediately for the start of the second half. Is that because Maresca is considering reintroducing him alongside Lavia and Caicedo? Because for myself, to really have any hopes of getting that result against Arsenal, we're going to have to match their midfield and overload them when we can in those central areas. I think the key players for Arsenal, with Odegaard now coming back and probably being ready for the game on Sunday, he just brings so much threat, instincts, and makes sense of the Arsenal team due to how he creates the combination plays and rotations with Saka and White down that right-hand side. So for myself, we need someone that can tackle Odegaard. And for me currently, there's no one better than in form Moises Caicedo. But the thing is this, if Caicedo is allowed the license to press further forward at times, to maybe follow Odegaard in those areas, man mark him at times too, I do feel like there's going to be more onus on having structure and strength in midfield. Lavia is great at breaking the play up, but then to balance that type of midfield, Enzo Fernandez having that license, of course, maybe play more as that offensive 8, at least can give us some qualities with his on-the-ball play. But again, it comes down to Enzo now having to show that passing quality. He has it in his game. Listen, Noah is such an easy game that I can't really hold him to any accountability for that. But in the big games, or in Prem games, I'm seeing him under-hit passes. I'm seeing those lofted balls over the top looking a lot more insecure, looking a lot more infrequent. He needs to show that for this team. We're going to have to need that. Lineup B has heavy emphasis on this midfield. It has heavy emphasis on that quartet of Palmer, Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo, because they could be fundamental and key in tackling Arsenal in midfield and helping us gain that type of territory. But to accommodate that quartet, maybe this means Malo Gusto can play his more natural role as a wide option, because the great thing about Gusto last season was that he's essentially a 2-in-1 player. He's a winger that can masquerade as a fullback, and I feel like he's still coming to grips with this inverted role, but I just can't feel like we can afford to have any mistakes against Arsenal. Maybe it makes sense for Gusto to be that option wide, Neto on the left-hand side, with the main goal threat coming from Nico, Palmer and others, and we're playing for those moments, right? That's how I see things going. And of course, the back three explains itself of Colwill, Fofana, Reece James. We have defensive solidity, pace, and hopefully some great, 1v1 tackling threat against Arsenal's wide players. So that is the lineup I think we could see against Arsenal. Time will tell. And for option C, this is the Cole Palmerless lineup. And essentially, it's the same lineup as the first one, but there's two differences. I've gone for Nkunku and I've gone for Cucurella. I feel like if that was the case, Nkunku essentially replaces Cole Palmer in that role, offering us more ability between the lines, offering us more ability in that pocket, playing closer towards Nico Jackson, giving us some goal threat, giving us something inside the box. That should be key for us in that game. Let's not forget Nkunku's been a big game player in the Champions League, in the Bundesliga. He's not phased by encounters like this. Maresca himself has said if there's one player that he really sympathizes for, it is Nkunku. Maresca himself said he was the best player in pre-season. The fact that there isn't the balance needed for me currently where I can accommodate him in the team, that's a little bit of an issue right now. So that would be the replacement for Palmer. But to accommodate that, I've gone for Cucurella because I feel like Cucurella, he makes sense adding more combative play in that midfield alongside Lavia and Caicedo. This would then allow Reece James to operate on the right side, Fofana in the middle, and Levi Cole playing down that left-hand side. Obviously, my only thing with Cucurella is that I don't think he has the best games against Saka. Hopefully, after that Euro success in the summer, he's feeling a bit more confident against Saka out wide. But I just feel like Saka kind of knows how to play against Cucurella. He knows how to get in his head. He knows how to fool him. He knows how to dummy him. I've seen it happen too many times. So that would be my only little risk if that was the case. So my friends, they're my predicted lineups. Do you agree? Do you not? If you feel like you have a better understanding of what could happen, let us know your lineup in the comments. So my friends, we end things with the match prediction, even though I am desperate for a win. I want to win. I want to win so bad. Do I feel like we are necessarily there just yet to take full advantage? I'm not too sure. If there's one real fear I have, I feel like we're set to concede from a set piece. Like our biggest Achilles heel this season has been our ineffectiveness from set pieces or inconsistencies. I mean, you're playing against probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the world at attacking set pieces. You know that Arsenal have the get out of jail free card time and time again, just from their ability to pounce and take advantage of the physicality they're now known for in Europe, which is the crazy thing. So if we can get a draw against them, I think it will be a fair result. It still maintains that confidence and it makes us a bit more hungrier for the next big games to really be ready and really capitalize. And Maresca has been coy for a reason. He's judging on performances over results. I understand it and I get it because listen, if we don't take our chances, if we make individual errors, which we have still been prone to, then you can't win games like this where the margins have to be closed even more. So my friends, I've gone for a 1-1 draw. Share your thoughts and opinions. Let us know how you feel. And on that note, I am Nini FC. This is BlueLionsTV. See you on Sunday. Cool.